The lights dim, the room falls quiet, and you feel the collective anticipation of hundreds of eyes fixed on you. Your chest rises slowly with a deep breath, and the air around you feels charged with possibility. In this moment, victory is not a distant dream, but a living pulse coursing through your veins. You stand not as a spectator of life, but as its conductor, ready to lead the symphony. And here's the bold promise you're about to live into. This is the ultimate guide to mastering success. Not just in fleeting moments of triumph, but in everything you set your mind to. You've seen others rise and wondered what their secret was. Reality check. It isn't luck, it isn't privilege, and it isn't some magical shortcut. It's mindset, strategy, and execution woven into the rhythm of daily life. Winning starts in the invisible landscape of your mind. Before goals, before plans, before accolades, there is the belief that you are capable of shaping outcomes. You already know what it feels like to wrestle with doubt. You've told yourself stories about limits, about not being ready, about waiting for the perfect chance. And yet, here you are, listening, searching, hungry for more. That hunger itself is proof. You are not finished, and you are not powerless. To cultivate the mindset of winning, you must understand resilience not as a trait you either have or don't, but as a muscle to be built. Imagine a runner training for a marathon. Every mile logged is not just about the body, it's the mind whispering, "I can endure, I can push further." Resilience works the same way in your life. Each time you meet resistance and keep moving, you grow stronger. You learn to see setbacks not as stop signs, but as signals. Adjust, recalibrate, try again. This shift alone can turn what once defeated you into fuel for mastery. The most powerful lever of this mindset is what psychologists call the growth orientation. When you embrace growth, you stop clinging to the illusion that talent is fixed. Instead, you understand that skills, intelligence, and even confidence expand with effort. Picture yourself facing a challenge, a new role at work, a skill you've never attempted, a relationship that asks more of you than you've ever given. The fixed voice says, "You can't." The growth voice says, "You can't yet." That single word, "yet," cracks open a world of possibility. Now pause and consider. What is your relationship with failure? If you recoil, if you see failure as proof of inadequacy, you will always hesitate. But if you reframe it as a teacher, failure becomes a trusted mentor. Thomas Edison's famous remark about finding 10,000 ways that didn't work was not bravado. It was perspective. He refused to let failed attempts write his story. Instead, he wrote failure into the process of discovery. You can do the same. Each mistake you've ever made holds a lesson, but only if you dare to mine it for wisdom. Equally important is how you fuel your mind daily. Gratitude, though often reduced to a buzzword, is a practice of sharpening your focus toward abundance instead of scarcity. Think of it like tuning a radio. The station you choose determines the music that fills your world. When you consciously notice what is working, your health, your relationships, your opportunities, you amplify energy for progress. Gratitude doesn't ignore hardship. It equips you to endure it with perspective. Pair gratitude with visualization, and you unlock another layer of mastery. Neuroscience shows that vividly imagining a desired outcome lights up many of the same neural pathways as actually living it. When you see yourself giving that speech, closing that deal, crossing that finish line, your brain rehearses success. You're priming yourself to recognize opportunities and act with confidence when the real moment arrives. This isn't wishful thinking, it's mental conditioning. You're essentially teaching your mind the choreography of victory before the music even starts. But mindset is more than techniques, it's identity. You cannot consistently outperform the way you see yourself. If you identify as someone who always struggles, your choices will bend to prove yourself right. If you claim the identity of someone who adapts, someone who grows, someone who wins, your actions will stretch to match that belief. Start asking yourself, who am I becoming? Because the answer to that question is the blueprint of your behavior. As you embody this identity, motivation must evolve beyond quick bursts of energy. It's not about hyping yourself up once and burning out. Sustainable motivation is built through clarity of purpose. Why do you want to win? Is it freedom, security, impact, mastery, love? Write it, feel it, and return to it often. This is your anchor when storms come. Without it, your efforts will scatter. With it, even setbacks become meaningful because they remind you of what you're fighting for. Let's dive deeper into resilience. Imagine standing in front of a wall, taller than you've ever scaled. Some people see the wall and stop. Others see the wall and begin stacking stones, one by one, building steps. Which one are you? Resilience is the choice to keep stacking, even when it feels endless. You will face exhaustion, doubt, even ridicule. But every step raises you higher until the wall that seemed immovable becomes a conquered height. This is the lived difference between those who give up and those who keep rising. The willingness to continue even when comfort begs you to quit. Adaptability walks hand in hand with resilience. Think of water. It doesn't resist obstacles. It flows around them. Yet over time, water carves canyons out of stone. To win, you must adopt the same flexibility. Plans will change, markets will shift, people will surprise you, rigidity will break you, adaptability will keep you in the game. When you bend without breaking, when you learn new skills, when you pivot instead of panicking, you ensure that no storm can sink you for long. Winning also demands self-awareness. You cannot master what you refuse to see. Begin observing your patterns. When do you procrastinate? When do you thrive? What triggers your self-doubt? What habits energize you? Journaling, reflection, or even recording voice notes can reveal truths you've overlooked. Awareness is not self-criticism, it's intelligence gathering. With it, you're no longer stumbling in the dark. You're mapping the terrain of your mind so you can navigate with precision. Now, let's ground this philosophy in practice. Start with micro-victories. Too often, people dismiss small wins as trivial, yet they are the bricks that pave your empire. Did you show up early? Did you complete a workout? Did you keep your cool in a tense meeting? Each is proof that you are capable of discipline and follow-through. Celebrate them, not with arrogance, but with recognition. You're wiring your brain to associate effort with reward, creating momentum. Momentum, once sparked, is your greatest ally. Think of a snowball rolling down a hill, small at first, then unstoppable. Success compounds. One disciplined choice leads to another. One finished task breeds confidence for the next. You don't need to overhaul your life overnight. You need to tip the first domino. Consistency beats intensity. It's better to take small, deliberate steps daily than to sprint sporadically and collapse. Of course, no exploration of mindset is complete without addressing the environment you place yourself in. People are contagious, Attitudes spread faster than any virus. Surround yourself with those who embody growth, optimism, and persistence, and you will mirror them unconsciously. Likewise, negativity drains even the strongest minds. Audit your circle. Ask yourself, who sharpens me? Who dulls me? Protect your energy by choosing wisely. Technology and culture today bombard you with distraction, comparison, and instant gratification. Left unchecked, they erode focus and resilience. Winning requires reclaiming your attention. Set boundaries with screens, curate your inputs, and practice the lost art of deep focus. When you can immerse yourself fully in a task without scattering your attention, you gain an edge most people have abandoned. This is not about rejecting modern tools, but mastering them so they serve you rather than enslave you. To win at everything you do, you must begin not with trophies, applause, or bank accounts, but with the soil beneath all achievement, your mindset. It is here that belief, resilience, adaptability, gratitude, identity, and focus intertwine. Each day you have a choice to reinforce patterns of limitation or to nurture patterns of growth. You already know which path leads to victory. Now, the task is to walk it. Your journey continues seamlessly from this foundation. With a resilient mind, you're ready to define what you are walking toward, and that means clarifying your vision, the guiding compass that turns raw energy into directed force. Ensuring your mindset is not just powerful, but purposeful. Picture yourself standing at the helm of a ship, the sea stretching endlessly before you. Fog rolls across the water, concealing the horizon. The waves carry you this way and that, indifferent to your intentions. Without a clear destination, you drift. The ocean does not care where you go, and soon neither do you. This is the cost of living without vision, motion without direction, effort without meaning. You've been here before, working hard, filling your days with tasks, yet feeling strangely unsatisfied. The truth is simple but uncompromising. Until you create a clear vision, your energy scatters like light unfocused through a prism. Vision is the lens that sharpens everything. A vision is not just an image of success. It's a compass for every choice you make. You've seen people with enormous talent stall out, while others with average abilities rise to astonishing heights. What separates them isn't just work ethic, it's clarity. The clearest minds know where they are headed and why. Their vision serves as a North Star, aligning daily actions with long-term purpose. When setbacks strike, vision steadies them. When opportunities appear, vision tells them whether to say yes or no. Without it, life is a series of distractions. With it, life becomes a deliberate story. So how do you craft this compass? Start with the end in mind. Close your eyes and project yourself years ahead. What does a day in your ideal future look like? Not just in vague terms, see the details. What time do you wake up? Where are you? Who surrounds you? What work fills your hours? And how do you feel at the end of the day? The sharper you paint this picture, the more powerful it becomes. Your mind is wired to pursue what it can vividly imagine. The clearer the image, the stronger the pull. Yet vision is more than daydreaming. It's a declaration. It says, "This is where I'm going, and this is who I choose to become." Declarations require courage. They force you to commit when uncertainty feels safer. Maybe you hesitate because you don't want to be wrong. Maybe you fear that if you state a vision, you'll expose yourself to judgment if you fall short. But here's the irony. By avoiding vision, you guarantee mediocrity. A foggy aim ensures you'll miss every target. A clear vision doesn't eliminate risk. It makes risk worth taking. Let's ground this in history. Visionary leaders, from entrepreneurs to activists, did not succeed because they predicted every detail of the future. They succeeded because they painted a picture so compelling that people wanted to help build it. Consider the way explorers set sail centuries ago. They didn't know every storm or island they would encounter, but they had a destination in mind, and that vision drove innovation, sacrifice, and persistence. Your life deserves the same clarity. You are the captain of your vessel, and your crew, your habits, your choices, your allies, needs to know where you're steering. Clarity, however, must be paired with authenticity. It's tempting to borrow visions from culture, family, or social media. You see images of wealth, fame, or status and adopt them as your own. But living someone else's vision is a prison decorated with gold. The only vision that can sustain you through hardship is one rooted in your deepest values. Ask yourself, what truly matters? Is it creativity, freedom, contribution, mastery, connection? Your answers will differ from anyone else's, and that is the point. When your vision aligns with your values, your pursuit will feel meaningful, even when it's difficult. Without this alignment, success will feel hollow. Values act as anchors. Let's say you value integrity. A vision that includes shortcuts or deceit will eventually crumble because it violates who you are. Or maybe you value innovation. A vision that boxes you into repetitive work will suffocate you. Aligning vision with values ensures that your journey feels like growth, not betrayal. And when the storms of life hit, as they will, values tether you to purpose, preventing you from drifting away. Once you've envisioned a destination that feels authentic, you need to bring it down from the clouds. Break it into vivid statements that you can hold on to daily. A powerful vision statement is clear, ambitious, inspiring, and achievable. I want to be successful is weak. I will create a business that empowers underrepresented creators worldwide is strong. One is vague, the other is electric. One is forgettable, the other pulls you forward every morning. But vision alone isn't enough. You must interact with it regularly, not just once in a journal. Think of vision like a fire. It dims, if not fed. Revisit it often. Write it down where you'll see it daily. Speak it aloud. Share it with those you trust. Each interaction reinforces your commitment. Without repetition, your vision risks becoming another forgotten dream. With repetition, it becomes part of your identity. Identity and vision form a loop. The more clearly you see your future self, the more you begin to embody that person now. Athletes envision victory and train accordingly. Artists envision finished masterpieces and pick up the brush. Entrepreneurs envision companies that transform industries and make bold moves in the present. Vision pulls behavior upward, and behavior reinforces vision. It's a cycle of becoming. Still, vision must evolve. You're not static, and neither is your life. What inspires you today may not inspire you in 5 years. That's not failure, it's growth. Revisit your vision periodically, refining it as you change. Just as a sailor adjusts the course when winds shift, you can adjust direction without abandoning the destination. Flexibility ensures that your vision remains alive, not a rigid script. Beware, though, of confusing vision with fantasy. Fantasy is untethered. It ignores reality, resources, and effort. Vision is grounded It stretches you beyond your comfort zone, but remains achievable through dedication. The sweet spot is where aspiration meets possibility. Aim too low, and you stay bored. Aim too high without grounding, and you collapse in frustration. The right vision excites and challenges you, yet whispers. With enough persistence, this can be real. Let's consider an example. Imagine someone who says their vision is to be rich. That's not a vision, it's a wish. Rich in what? Money, relationships, health, knowledge. Without detail, the pursuit scatters. But suppose instead they declare, "My vision is to create a company that provides sustainable energy solutions to 1 million households, while maintaining balance in my personal life." That's concrete. It provides direction for decisions, fuels resilience, and attracts allies who resonate with the mission. Your own vision doesn't need to be global. It could be as intimate as raising a family rooted in love and curiosity, or as specific as mastering a craft that brings joy. What matters is not the scale, but the clarity and authenticity. Vision also provides a filter. Opportunities will come, some glittering, some deceptive. Without vision, you chase them all and exhaust yourself. With vision, you ask, does this path bring me closer or farther from where I'm going? Every yes and no becomes simpler. This is not about rigid control, it's about intentional choice. The more aligned your actions, the faster your progress. Now imagine the emotional power of a shared vision. Families, teams, organizations, all thrive when vision unites them. A shared vision builds trust, strengthens commitment, and ignites collaboration. When people believe they are contributing to something bigger than themselves, they unleash energy that would never surface for a paycheck alone. You can be the spark for such alignment. By articulating your vision clearly, you invite others into a journey that matters. Yet vision requires courage, because it asks you to declare what you truly want, not what's safe. It strips away excuses. Once you know your vision, you can no longer hide behind confusion. You must either move toward it or admit resistance. That's why many avoid it. But you, standing here now, listening, reflecting, you are ready. You are willing to step into the vulnerability of naming your future, and in doing so, you already separate yourself from the masses who drift. So here is your invitation. Craft your vision. Not tomorrow, not someday. Now. Take the fragments of desire swirling in your mind and shape them into a clear picture. See it, feel it, declare it, write it down, test it against your values, refine it until it burns in your chest like fire. Because once you hold that vision, the fog of indecision will lift, and every action will align with purpose. This is the compass you've been searching for. With vision alive in you, direction sharpens, energy surges, and choices simplify. You no longer move aimlessly across the sea. You sail with intention. Every wave a step closer to the horizon you chose. The roar of the crowd surges as a runner leans across the finish line, chest heaving, arms lifted high in triumph. To onlookers, that final burst of speed looks like the defining moment. But you know better. Victory wasn't born in the last 100 meters. It was forged in countless hours of training, in every drop of sweat that never made the headlines. This is the hidden truth of achievement. Great outcomes are the visible tip of an iceberg built on deliberate, well-structured goals. Without them, even the most powerful vision remains a dream, blurred by distance. With them, you turn fog into a staircase, each step a milestone, pulling you closer to the life you've declared. Goals are the bridge between desire and reality. You already have dreams. They live in your imagination, perhaps sketched in journals or whispered in quiet moments. But without goals, those dreams float untethered. They inspire you for a time, but eventually fade under the weight of daily distractions. A goal grounds them, nails them to the earth, and demands action. Think of it as sculpting. The marble block is your vision. Goals are the precise strikes of the chisel that shape form from formlessness. But not all goals are created equal. Too many people set vague intentions. I want to be successful. I want to be healthier. I want more freedom. These are wishes, not goals. They lack clarity, measurement, and urgency. You need goals that leave no room for ambiguity. Goals that map directly to your vision. The tool that has stood the test of time is the SMART framework: specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. Specific goals sharpen focus. Instead of, I want to be healthier, say, I will run 3 miles without stopping within 6 weeks. You can picture it. You can measure progress toward it. Your brain craves this clarity. It lights up when it knows exactly what to aim for. The vague goal fades when life gets busy. The specific goal demands attention. Measurable goals give you a scoreboard. Humans are wired for progress. We need to see evidence that our efforts matter. Imagine trying to lose weight without ever stepping on a scale or tracking your habits. Frustration would crush motivation because you'd have no way to know if you're winning. A measurable goal answers, how will I know when I've succeeded? Numbers, percentages, milestones. They transform effort into proof. Achievable goals stretch you without breaking you. If you aim to leap from complete novice to world champion in one move, you will collapse under impossible weight. But if you aim too low, you starve your potential. The sweet spot is the challenge that makes you nervous but excites you, a target that demands growth, yet lies within the realm of possibility with consistent effort. Every achievement at this level builds confidence, creating momentum for even bigger goals. Relevant goals tie directly to your vision and values. You could set a goal to climb Mount Everest, but if your vision is to build a thriving creative business, that goal may be a distraction. Ask yourself, does this goal move me closer to the future I've envisioned? If not, cut it. Life is too short to waste energy on goals that don't align with your deepest priorities. Time-bound goals inject urgency. A dream without a deadline is a someday fantasy. A goal with a clear date becomes a contract with yourself. Deadlines pressure you to act. They strip away procrastination, and they break inertia. Think back to times in your life when you accomplished the most. You likely had a looming deadline. Harness that force intentionally. But even SMART goals alone are not enough. Life is too complex to juggle everything equally. Some goals matter more than others, and you can't chase them all at once. This is where prioritization becomes crucial. One of the simplest yet most transformative tools is the Eisenhower Matrix, dividing tasks into 4 categories: important and urgent, important but not urgent, urgent but not important, and neither urgent nor important. Important and urgent items scream for immediate action. Deadlines, crises, emergencies. Handle them, but don't live there. Constant firefighting drains creativity. Important but not urgent tasks are where transformation lives. Learning new skills, building relationships, planning for the future. These rarely demand attention in the moment, but they shape your destiny. Urgent but not important tasks, like endless emails or shallow meetings, feel pressing, but rarely move the needle. Neither urgent nor important tasks, mindless scrolling, empty distractions, drain your life with little return. If you want to win, you must protect the important but not urgent quadrant. That's where vision turns into reality. Block time for these tasks before anything else. Guard them fiercely, because they will not shout for your attention. They whisper. Yet it's their quiet persistence that carves the future you crave. Now, let's address balance. You juggle multiple goals at once: career advancement, health, relationships, personal growth. How do you keep them from clashing? Begin by identifying your long-term anchors. Which goals, if achieved, would make the biggest difference across all areas of your life? Focus on these. Then, sequence your efforts. You don't need to sprint toward every goal simultaneously. Work in waves. Prioritize one area intensely while maintaining steady momentum in others. Over time, the mosaic forms, each piece strengthening the whole. Sometimes, though, you'll face conflicting goals. Perhaps you want to travel the world and also save aggressively for a home. Or you want to excel at work while spending more hours with family. These tensions are real. The solution lies in alignment with values. Which goal resonates more deeply with who you are becoming? Which contributes most directly to your long-term vision? Choose deliberately rather than drifting by default. Remember, saying yes to one thing means saying no to something else. To sustain momentum, break large goals into micro goals. Running a marathon starts with running a mile. Writing a book begins with a page. Launching a company starts with a single product. Each micro goal should be small enough to feel achievable, but large enough to move the needle. These micro victories feed motivation, like rungs on a ladder pulling you upward. Celebrate progress, no matter how small. Too often, you dismiss minor wins as insignificant, yet celebration reinforces behavior. It teaches your brain, effort matters. Growth is rewarding. You don't need extravagant rewards. Sometimes a moment of recognition, a smile, a journal entry is enough. These moments accumulate, turning effort into identity. Let's talk about the psychology of goals. Motivation thrives on progress, but it also needs emotional fuel. Attach meaning to your goals. Don't just aim to exercise. Frame it as building the strength to play with your children or live with vitality into old age. Don't just aim for a promotion. See it as unlocking greater impact and the ability to provide for those you love. Meaning transforms effort into devotion. Beware, however, of perfectionism. The pursuit of goals can easily slide into self-punishment when you demand flawless execution. Life will interrupt. You'll miss days, face setbacks, and fall short of targets. Don't let perfectionism trick you into quitting. Progress, not perfection, drives transformation. A missed workout doesn't erase your health journey. A failed attempt doesn't erase your path toward mastery. Dust off, recalibrate, and keep going. One more danger: overcommitment. In your hunger for achievement, you may stack goal upon goal until the weight crushes you. Ambition is noble, but unsustainable load leads to burnout. Remember, depth beats breadth. Achieving fewer goals with excellence is better than chasing dozens with mediocrity. When done right, goals transform not just outcomes, but identity. Every completed goal whispers, "This is who you are now." Each one builds evidence that you are consistent, disciplined, capable. The more evidence you gather, the stronger your self-belief. And when belief solidifies, action becomes easier, setting off a flywheel of growth. Think back to the runner at the finish line. The crowd saw the sprint, but you now understand the truth. Victory was encoded in months of small, specific, measurable, aligned, and time-bound goals. That runner didn't just run a race. They built an identity as someone who finishes. You have the same power. With vision sharpened and goals defined, you are no longer drifting. You are building momentum. But momentum without a map can scatter. To direct your energy effectively, you now need strategy, the art of designing a plan that connects today's steps with tomorrow's victories. Imagine spreading out a vast map on a wooden table, edges curling, inked lines tracing mountains, rivers, and unexplored lands. Your compass rests at the center, pointing north. You already know where you want to go. Your vision shines like a distant city on the horizon. You've broken that vision into measurable goals that give shape to the journey. But maps and compasses alone don't guarantee arrival. What you need now is a strategic roadmap, a plan that transforms possibility into inevitable progress. Without strategy, even strong goals become scattered attempts, like arrows loosed without aiming. With strategy, you concentrate force, direct your actions, and navigate around the obstacles that once stalled you. Strategy is often misunderstood. People imagine it as complicated charts reserved for executives or military generals. In reality, strategy is simply the disciplined art of connecting where you are now to where you want to be, through deliberate choices. It is the bridge between intent and result. You already practice strategy unconsciously, in small ways, deciding the fastest route to work, planning meals to fit a health goal, or saving money toward a purchase. What we're doing now is elevating that instinct into a conscious skill, one that can be applied to every arena of life. The first step is assessment, knowing your current position with ruthless honesty. Too many plans fail because they start from fantasy rather than reality. Pretending you have more resources, skills, or time than you actually do sets you up for collapse. Instead, embrace clarity. Where do you stand right now in terms of strengths, weaknesses, finances, relationships, health, knowledge? Lay it all out. A map is useless if you lie about your location. Honesty, though uncomfortable, is empowering. It gives you the truth to work with. Once you've assessed your position, you can design routes forward. One of the most effective frameworks is the SWOT analysis: strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Strengths are your internal advantages, skills, networks, habits that give you leverage. Weaknesses are internal limitations, gaps in discipline, knowledge, or resources that could slow you down. Opportunities are external openings, market gaps, emerging trends, supportive allies. Threats are external obstacles, economic shifts, competition, or even toxic environments. By mapping these 4 dimensions, you see the terrain with clarity. You know what to double down on, what to improve, what to seize, and what to avoid. Now, expand outward with a PEST analysis: political, economic, social, and technological forces. These shape the environment in which your strategy unfolds. Maybe you're building a career in technology. What laws or innovations are shifting the landscape? Maybe you're pursuing a health journey. What social trends or cultural habits influence your options? PEST forces remind you that success is not crafted in a vacuum. It's sculpted in dialogue with the world around you. When you anticipate these forces, instead of being blindsided by them, you win not by chance, but by design. With SWOT and PEST combined, you're no longer stumbling. You're navigating. And navigation requires choices. Strategy is not about doing everything. It's about choosing the few things that matter most. This is where many fail. They spread themselves thin, chasing every idea, responding to every demand. But focus multiplies power. Think of sunlight. It warms gently when dispersed, but burns like fire when focused through a lens. Your strategy should act as that lens, concentrating your energy on the critical few actions that will create the greatest impact. To identify these critical actions, ask yourself, what are the leverage points? These are the areas where a small effort produces outsized results. For example, learning one new skill might unlock multiple career doors. Repairing one relationship could strengthen an entire support network. Automating one process might save hours every week. Leverage is the secret to exponential progress. Strategy is the art of spotting it and acting on it. But no plan survives untouched by reality. Strategy must be dynamic, not static. Consider the metaphor of sailing. A sailor sets a course but constantly adjusts sails and rudder based on wind and tide. Likewise, you must review and adjust your strategy regularly. Quarterly check-ins are powerful. Revisit your vision, assess progress on goals, examine what's working, and adapt to changes. This cyclical planning ensures that you don't cling stubbornly to a failing plan, but evolve intelligently. Equally crucial is sequencing. Not all steps can happen at once, and not all are equally urgent. Think of building a house. You don't start with the roof, you lay the foundation first. Too often, people pursue advanced goals without first securing basics, and their efforts crumble. Strategic sequencing means asking, what must come first to make later steps easier or even possible? Perhaps before launching a business, you need to master budgeting. Before running a marathon, you need to build endurance mile by mile. Laying foundations ensures stability when you scale. Let's explore another dimension: contingency planning. Success is not a straight path. Storms will come. Strategic thinkers don't just plan for the best case, they prepare for setbacks. Ask yourself, what could derail this plan? What if resources dry up, partners back out, or motivation wanes? Then design responses in advance. This doesn't make you pessimistic, it makes you resilient. You're less rattled when surprises hit because you've rehearsed alternatives. You don't panic, you pivot. One effective tool here is scenario planning. Imagine multiple futures, optimistic, realistic, and challenging. How would you respond in each case? This exercise stretches your thinking, reveals blind spots, and arms you with adaptability. When the future arrives, whether brighter or stormier than expected, you'll be ready, not reactive. Strategy also demands measurement. Set clear indicators of progress. These aren't just the goals themselves, but the milestones that signal you're on track. Think of a road trip. You don't just look for the final city sign. You notice the towns, exits, and landmarks along the way. Tracking these milestones fuels motivation and allows for timely adjustments. Without them, you risk drifting off course without noticing until it's too late. But even the most elegant strategy can fail if it doesn't account for resources. Resources include time, energy, money, relationships, and knowledge. They are finite, and your plan must respect that. Allocate them wisely. Overcommitting depletes energy, undercommitting delays progress. Balance is key, like a general distributing troops. You must decide where to place your strongest resources to achieve decisive victories. At its core, a strategic roadmap is not about complexity. It's about clarity. It doesn't drown you in endless steps. It illuminates the essential path. Imagine yourself 6 months from now. Which 3 actions, if executed consistently, would bring you closest to your vision? That's your roadmap. It's not about doing everything. It's about doing the right things relentlessly. Finally, strategy must be lived, not just written. A plan sitting in a notebook changes nothing. Action breathes life into strategy. Begin with small, decisive steps. Build momentum. Let your roadmap guide your daily priorities. And remember, the best strategies are simple enough to remember, flexible enough to adapt, and powerful enough to inspire. Now, picture rolling up that map, compass in hand, and stepping onto the path you've charted. The fog no longer frightens you because you hold a plan that adapts as you move. Goals have become milestones, and strategy has become the sturdy bridge carrying you from intention to reality. From here, your focus sharpens outward, not just on your own path, but on the wider landscape you inhabit. To win fully, you must also understand the battlefield around you, the competition, the environment, the shifting dynamics that shape the game. The stadium lights blaze, and you step onto the field. The crowd is loud, the stakes high. Across from you, another team stretches and prepares, their eyes sharp, their bodies ready. You know in this moment that talent alone won't decide the outcome. Understanding the game, reading the opponents, and anticipating their moves will. Life, like sport, is rarely played in isolation. No matter what arena you enter, business, career, art, relationships, you are not the only one striving for success. Others move alongside you, sometimes aligned, sometimes competing. To win consistently, you must sharpen the skill of reading the battlefield, recognizing patterns, decoding dynamics, and turning awareness into advantage. This battlefield is not about aggression or hostility. It's about awareness. Too many people stumble blindly, convinced that sheer effort is enough. They work harder, but not smarter. They repeat the same strategies, oblivious to shifts in the environment, and wonder why results stall. You cannot afford that blindness. You must learn to see the field with clarity, to notice what others overlook, to anticipate moves before they unfold. Awareness gives you time. Awareness gives you options. And awareness, when paired with decisive action, gives you the edge. So how do you read the battlefield of life? Begin with observation. Train your eyes to notice not just what people say, but what they do. In workplaces, pay attention to how decisions are truly made. Formal structures tell one story, informal dynamics another. In markets, look beyond headlines, study trends, behaviors, and subtle shifts in demand. In relationships, notice body language, tone, the unspoken signals that reveal more than words. Observation requires patience and curiosity. You're not rushing to judge. You're gathering intelligence. Next, analyze patterns. Life is full of cycles. Economies rise and fall. Industries evolve. Human behavior repeats with surprising consistency. If you watch closely, you'll notice rhythms, the times people are most receptive, the signals that precede opportunities, the warnings before crises. Think of a chess master. They don't just react to the current move. They recognize patterns from hundreds of games. You, too, can cultivate this foresight. Study your environment until its rhythms become familiar. Then use those rhythms to act at the right moment. Part of reading the battlefield is understanding strengths and weaknesses, not only your own, but also those of others. This isn't about comparison. It's about positioning. If you know you excel at creativity, but lack detail orientation, partner with someone who complements you. If you know a competitor thrives on speed, but falters on quality, you can position your offering accordingly. The same applies personally. If you understand where others in your circle are strong or fragile, you can support, collaborate, or protect yourself more effectively. One powerful tool here is the concept of differentiation. Imagine standing in a crowded marketplace, each stall selling nearly identical goods. The loudest shouts might grab attention briefly, but it's the stall with something unique, different design, better quality, personal story that thrives long-term. Your task is not to mimic others, but to identify what sets you apart. That uniqueness becomes your strategic advantage. Maybe it's a skill, a perspective, a way of serving others that few can match. Lean into it. In the noise of competition, differentiation is clarity. Reading the battlefield also means anticipating obstacles. Every environment has hidden traps, unrealistic expectations, shifting alliances, unexpected crises. You cannot predict them all, but you can train yourself to spot early warnings. Just as a seasoned sailor recognizes dark clouds as a storm's herald, you can learn to see small signs of disruption. Is a relationship growing strained? Is a project falling behind schedule? Is a market showing signs of saturation? Catching these signals early allows you to respond with agility instead of panic. Yet awareness without action is useless. The goal is not to become a passive observer, but an active strategist. When you see patterns, position yourself accordingly. When you notice weaknesses, adjust your approach. When you sense opportunity, act swiftly before hesitation costs you. Too many lose because they recognize a shift, but fail to move. Remember, advantage is perishable. Timing matters as much as insight. Let's make this practical. Suppose you're building a career. You notice that in your workplace, those who rise quickly are not just technically skilled, but excellent communicators. That's a pattern. Reading the battlefield means realizing that if you invest in communication skills, you position yourself for advancement. Or imagine you're starting a business. You see that customers complain about poor support from existing providers. That's a weakness in the field. If you commit to superior service, you turn their weakness into your strength. Another layer of battlefield awareness is emotional intelligence. People are not machines. They're driven by hopes, fears, desires, and insecurities. If you can read emotions, you can anticipate behavior. Think of a negotiation. Facts matter, but feelings often decide outcomes. If you sense hesitation, if you detect excitement, you can adapt your approach. Emotional intelligence is like radar. It reveals what lies beneath the surface. Cultivate it, and you'll see opportunities and risks invisible to others. Consider also the power of positioning in time. Success often comes not from being the best, but from being early or late at the right moment. Enter a trend too early, and people may not be ready. Enter too late, and the market is saturated. Reading the battlefield means sensing timing. Sometimes the greatest advantage is patience, waiting until conditions align. Other times, the advantage is speed, acting before anyone else sees the opening. Mastering this rhythm is like dancing with time itself. But let's address a danger. In focusing on competition, some people grow cynical, seeing everyone as an enemy to outmaneuver. That mindset breeds paranoia and isolation. True winning doesn't require hostility. It requires awareness. Others, striving for success, are not always threats. Often, they are potential allies. The same awareness that reveals competition can also reveal collaboration. Sometimes, joining forces creates more value than battling for scraps. The battlefield metaphor reminds you to be alert, but wisdom teaches you when to fight, when to partner, and when to step aside. A useful practice is to map your field visually. List the players, individuals, organizations, forces shaping your environment. Note their strengths, weaknesses, behaviors, and tendencies. See where gaps exist, where needs are unmet, where alliances might form. This mapping gives you clarity and calms fear. What once felt overwhelming becomes navigable. You're not wandering, you're maneuvering. Now think back to the stadium. The game begins. You recognize the other team's patterns, the plays they favor, the weaknesses in their defense. You anticipate their moves, and when the moment comes, you strike decisively. The crowd cheers, but you know the secret. Victory was earned long before this moment. It was earned in the discipline of observation, the patience of analysis, and the courage to act. This is how you win in life as well. You don't stumble blindly. You read the battlefield. You see clearly. You move intentionally. And as you do, you discover that the environment no longer intimidates you. It becomes your arena of mastery. With this sharpened awareness, you're ready for the next dimension of winning. You understand yourself, your vision, your goals, your strategy, and now the landscape around you. The next step is to gather allies, to build a team whose collective power exceeds anything you could achieve alone. The baton rises, and the orchestra falls silent, in that breathless pause before sound erupts. Every musician's eyes are fixed on the conductor. One flick of the wrist, and chaos transforms into harmony. This is the power of a team at its best. Individual brilliance fused into collective greatness. Alone, each instrument is impressive, but together, they create something transcendent. Your life, too, demands such harmony. To truly win, you cannot walk alone. You must learn to assemble, nurture, and lead a team that multiplies your strengths, compensates for your weaknesses, and drives you further than you could go by yourself. It begins with a deep truth. No one, no matter how gifted, possesses every ability required for great achievement. You may be a visionary, but without someone skilled in execution, your ideas remain abstractions. You may be analytical, but without someone empathetic, you miss the human nuances that drive connection. You may be disciplined, but without someone daring, you risk stagnation. The greatest victories are rarely solitary. They are orchestrated. So how do you build a winning team? The first step is radical self-awareness. You must know yourself, not in vague terms, but with precision. What comes easily to you? What drains you? Where do you excel? And where do you consistently falter? Be honest, because this clarity is the blueprint for who you need beside you. A leader who pretends to be everything soon becomes nothing. The leader who admits limitations and recruits accordingly becomes unstoppable. Once you understand yourself, seek complementary strengths. Think of a puzzle. Each piece has edges that leave gaps, but when matched with others, a complete picture emerges. Surround yourself with people whose talents fill your gaps. If you thrive in creativity, but struggle with structure, find someone who loves systems. If you excel at initiating projects, but lose momentum midway, find someone who thrives in follow-through. The synergy between different strengths is where momentum is born. Yet skills alone are not enough. Values matter more. A team with dazzling skills but conflicting principles will fracture under pressure. Imagine climbing a mountain with partners who don't share your commitment to safety. You may move quickly at first, but when storms hit, your rope breaks. Shared values, integrity, resilience, excellence, trust form the rope that binds a team together. Without them, talent becomes dangerous. With them, even modest skill becomes mighty. Communication is the lifeblood of a team. Clear, respectful, transparent dialogue transforms individuals into a unit. As a leader, your task is not only to speak with clarity, but to listen with depth. Listening is how you discover unseen concerns, surface hidden wisdom, and build trust. Too many leaders believe they must provide all the answers. The best leaders ask the best questions and then create space for their team to answer. A winning team also thrives on empowerment. Delegation is not about offloading what you dislike. It's about entrusting people with meaningful responsibility and giving them room to shine. When you delegate effectively, you multiply not just productivity, but ownership. People fight harder for victories they feel are theirs. Micromanagement, on the other hand, suffocates. It communicates mistrust, drains initiative, and leaves people disengaged. Empowerment communicates belief, and belief transforms performance. Conflict will arise. Where diverse strengths meet, friction sparks. This is not a problem to eliminate, but a resource to harness. Healthy conflict sharpens ideas, exposes blind spots, and prevents groupthink. What matters is how conflict is managed. Encourage debate, but insist on respect. Teach your team to challenge ideas without attacking people. Frame disagreements as opportunities to strengthen strategy, not as threats to unity. Done well, conflict doesn't fracture, it forges resilience. Culture, too, is decisive. Culture is not slogans on a wall or perks in an office. Culture is the invisible atmosphere created by daily actions, attitudes, and decisions. A culture of accountability means people own both successes and failures. A culture of trust means people share ideas without fear. A culture of excellence means the bar is high, and everyone knows it. As a leader, you set the tone. Your behavior whispers louder than any speech. If you want a culture of openness, you must be open. If you want discipline, you must embody discipline. If you want passion, you must radiate it. Remember also that building a team is not a one-time act. It is an ongoing process. Teams evolve as goals evolve. The group that carried you through one season may not be equipped for the next. Don't cling to static structures. Adapt. Be willing to recruit new strengths, to release mismatched roles, to adjust dynamics. Stagnant teams decay, evolving teams thrive. Practical strategies matter here. Start with clear roles. Ambiguity breeds frustration. Each member must know what is expected, what authority they carry, and how their work contributes to the whole. Next, establish feedback loops. Regular check-ins, reviews, and reflections prevent small issues from becoming crises. Feedback should not be punishment. It should be a culture of continuous improvement. Encourage members to give feedback to you as well. Leadership is not above correction. Leadership models it. Don't forget to celebrate. Wins, no matter how small, should be acknowledged. Celebration fuels morale, reinforces desired behaviors, and reminds the team that effort leads to progress. This is not about empty praise. It's about meaningful recognition. A sincere thank you in a meeting, a moment of spotlight for a job well done, can re-energize someone more than any bonus. Recognition tells people, you matter. Your work matters. This journey matters. But what about when things go wrong? Because they will. Projects fail, strategies collapse, teams hit walls. In these moments, resilience as a collective is tested. A winning team doesn't disintegrate under pressure, it rallies. Leaders who panic sow panic. Leaders who remain calm cultivate calm. Share the setback openly. Involve the team in solutions. And remind everyone of the larger vision. Resilient teams see failure not as the end, but as a bend in the road. Consider how legendary explorers survived treacherous expeditions. They endured not because they were flawless individuals, but because they trusted each other absolutely. They shared burdens, rotated leadership, and adapted constantly. The bond between them mattered as much as the maps they carried. Your team must function with the same trust, the same shared commitment to survive storms and celebrate summits. And do not forget growth. A stagnant team becomes brittle. Encourage continuous learning. Invest in training, mentorship, cross-functional projects. Give people room to expand their skills, even beyond their current roles. The more each member grows, the stronger the collective becomes. Growth also builds loyalty. People stay where they feel invested in, where their future expands alongside the team's future. Think back to the orchestra. Each musician may be brilliant alone, but the true magic is when their strengths are woven together by vision, trust, and harmony. The conductor cannot play every instrument. The violinist cannot carry the whole symphony. Victory comes only when diverse notes, played with shared commitment, create music that moves the world. This is how you build your winning team. Through self-awareness, complementary strengths, shared values, clear communication, empowerment, healthy conflict, strong culture, adaptation, and continuous growth. With such a team, you are no longer one individual striving. You are many, moving as one, unstoppable. And once this team is in place, the next challenge looms: execution. Plans and people mean little without action. The true test lies ahead, transforming vision into reality through precise, relentless execution. The blueprint rests on the table. The diagrams are meticulous, the goals precise, the strategies sound. Around you, your team is eager, ready, aligned. Yet nothing has changed in the world outside, because the blueprint is still only ink on paper, not stone rising from the ground. This is where so many falter. They dream, they plan, they gather allies, but they stumble at the threshold of action. Execution is the bridge between imagination and reality. It is here, in the dust and sweat of doing, that victories are forged. Execution is often misunderstood. People imagine it as mechanical, mindless activity, just checking off tasks. But true execution is a skill, a discipline, and at times even an art. It requires focus, clarity, adaptability, and above all, consistency. The difference between those who only dream and those who achieve lies not in the quality of their ideas, but in their ability to act relentlessly on those ideas. You begin by translating strategy into action. Grand visions and detailed plans must break down into concrete steps. Vague instructions like increase sales or get healthy dissolve under pressure. Instead, specify actions. Reach out to 10 potential clients daily, or run 3 miles 4 times per week. Specificity transforms aspiration into measurable progress. If you cannot describe what needs to be done clearly, it will never get done effectively. Execution thrives on accountability. Each task must have an owner. Collective responsibility often means no responsibility. When everyone assumes someone else will do it, nothing happens. clarify. Who is responsible? By when? And to what standard? Accountability is not about blame. It's about ownership. When people feel ownership, they bring urgency and pride to their work. Deadlines are the pulse of execution. Without them, tasks drift endlessly. Yet deadlines must strike a balance. They must be firm enough to create urgency, but realistic enough to be achievable. Stretch goals inspire, impossible deadlines demoralize. When setting timelines, consider resources, complexity, and interdependencies. Build buffers for the unexpected, but resist the temptation to stretch deadlines indefinitely. Momentum dies when urgency fades. Delegation plays a critical role here. Leaders often stumble because they try to execute everything themselves. The result is overwhelm, bottlenecks, and burnout. Effective execution demands trust. Trusting your team to carry responsibilities, even if they don't execute exactly as you would. Your task is not to control every detail, but to guide the overall flow. Think of a general in battle. They do not swing every sword. They position troops, direct momentum, and adapt the plan. Resource allocation underpins execution. Time, money, energy, tools. These must align with priorities. Too often, people scatter resources across too many fronts, diluting effectiveness. Winning execution focuses resources on what matters most. If your goal is to launch a new product, channel money into development and marketing, not peripheral projects. If your aim is personal fitness, allocate energy toward training and recovery, not distractions. Execution requires discipline in saying no to what doesn't serve the primary mission. Yet even the best-laid plans collide with reality. Obstacles appear, unexpected crises, delays, shortages, setbacks. Here lies the true test of execution: adaptability. Do you freeze when problems strike? Do you abandon the plan at the first sign of resistance? Or do you adjust, recalibrate, and continue forward? Think of a river meeting rocks. It does not stop. It flows around, over, or even through them. Execution demands the same persistence. To adapt effectively, cultivate continuous monitoring, track progress against milestones. Are tasks on schedule? Are results aligning with expectations? Monitoring is not micromanagement. It is situational awareness. It allows you to detect small problems before they become catastrophic. Just as pilots constantly check instruments mid-flight, you must regularly review your progress. Awareness enables adjustment, and adjustment sustains momentum. Communication is equally critical. In execution, silence breeds confusion, duplication, and wasted effort. Clear, consistent updates keep everyone aligned. Share victories and setbacks openly. When a problem emerges, bring it to light quickly, rather than letting it fester. Transparency turns challenges into collective problem-solving instead of individual panic. Consider the psychology of execution. Discipline often outweighs motivation. Motivation is like fuel. It burns bright but can run out. Discipline is the engine. It keeps moving even when the road is long. To execute consistently, cultivate routines that reduce reliance on willpower. Schedule tasks. Automate reminders. Build rituals around critical actions. When execution becomes habitual, resistance diminishes. Celebrate small wins along the way. Execution can feel endless if you only recognize the final goal. Milestones, completed phases, early victories, measurable progress deserve recognition. Each win fuels morale and sustains energy for the next phase. Without celebration, fatigue creeps in. With it, momentum compounds. But beware the traps of poor execution. Scope creep. When projects expand beyond their original goals, destroys focus, perfectionism, delaying action until everything feels flawless, kills momentum, procrastination, endless planning without doing, paralyzes. These traps must be recognized and resisted. Execution favors clarity, action, and progress over perfection. Done imperfectly today often beats done flawlessly never. Execution also demands resilience. The path to achievement is rarely straight. You will face failed attempts, missed targets, unexpected reversals. The resilient executor does not interpret these as defeat, but as data. Each setback reveals what doesn't work, guiding the next attempt. Edison tested thousands of materials before perfecting the light bulb, not because he loved failure, but because he treated each misstep as progress. Adopt the same perspective. In teams, execution flourishes with shared purpose. Remind everyone not just of what they are doing, but why. Purpose transforms drudgery into mission. A soldier marching through mud persists, not because the task is pleasant, but because the cause matters. Anchor execution in meaning, and people will endure more, deliver more, and remain loyal to the mission. Think of a construction site. Workers hammer, weld, lift, and measure day after day. Dust fills the air, sweat drips from brows, progress feels slow, yet over months, steel rises, walls appear, glass reflects the sky. One day, a skyscraper stands where once there was only dirt. Execution is like this, incremental, demanding, sometimes monotonous, but ultimately transformative. And so you learn. Vision inspires, strategy guides, but execution builds. Without it, all else is illusion. With it, the improbable becomes possible. The possible becomes reality. You hold the blueprint, you have the team, and now you act. With every completed task, you move closer to the life you imagined. With every adjustment, you strengthen your resilience. With every milestone, you prove to yourself and others that you are not merely a dreamer. You are a doer. Execution is the heartbeat of success. And when that heartbeat is steady and strong, you are prepared for the next crucial capacity, making sound decisions under pressure. Because as you act, choices multiply. Which path? Which timing? Which risk? Winning depends not only on doing, but on choosing wisely at every step. Dawn breaks over the mountain. You stand at a fork in the trail, the cool air biting at your lungs. To the left, a winding path stretches gently upward, safe, predictable, but long. To the right, a steep and rocky climb promises a quicker ascent, yet danger lurks in every loose stone. This moment feels small, yet it holds immense weight. Your choice determines whether you reach the summit today, tomorrow, or perhaps not at all. Life is like this, an endless series of forks, some minor, some monumental, all requiring the art of decision-making. You cannot escape decisions. Every action, every delay, every yes or no shapes the trajectory of your life. Success is not simply the result of talent or luck. It is the accumulation of wise choices compounded over time. Yet making wise choices is not easy. Too often, emotions cloud judgment, biases distort perspective, or fear delays action until opportunity fades. To win at everything you do, you must master decision-making, not as guesswork, but as a deliberate, practiced skill. The process begins with clarity. Define the decision before you. Vague dilemmas paralyze. Instead of saying, "I don't know what to do with my life," sharpen the question. Do I accept this promotion, pursue a new job, or start my own venture? Precision in framing reduces overwhelm and creates a path forward. Ask yourself, What exactly am I deciding? What outcome am I pursuing? Without clarity, every option feels equally confusing. Next, gather information, but wisely. In an age of endless data, drowning in information is easy. More facts do not always equal better choices. Focus on quality over quantity. Seek diverse perspectives. Consult trusted advisors. Analyze relevant data. And pay special attention to evidence that challenges your assumptions. Confirmation bias, the tendency to only accept information that agrees with you, is one of the deadliest traps in decision-making. Resist it by deliberately seeking out opposing views. With information in hand, weigh your options. Tools can help here. A simple pros and cons list forces you to articulate advantages and disadvantages. A decision matrix lets you score options across multiple criteria: cost, time, impact, risk, and assign weight to what matters most. Scenario planning stretches your imagination. What's the best case outcome if I choose this path? The worst case? The most likely? This exercise not only sharpens foresight, but also reduces fear. Because once you've envisioned outcomes, even difficult ones, they lose power over you. Yet decision-making is not purely analytical. Intuition plays a role too. Your subconscious mind processes patterns, experiences, and memories far faster than your conscious mind can. Sometimes, that gut feeling is the distilled wisdom of years of experience. The key is balance. Do not dismiss intuition, but do not follow it blindly either. Use analysis to inform your choices and intuition to sense what numbers alone cannot capture. Together, they form a powerful compass. Risk assessment is another pillar. Every choice carries risk, sometimes obvious, sometimes hidden. The question is not how to eliminate risk, but how to weigh it. Ask, what is the probability of success? What is the cost of failure? What is the reward if it works? A path with low probability, but low downside, may be worth testing. A path with high probability, but catastrophic downside, may be too dangerous. Learning to balance these trade-offs is essential. Time matters. Some decisions demand speed. Opportunities often expire if you hesitate too long. Other decisions benefit from patience. Wisdom lies in knowing the difference. Avoid artificial urgency, pressures from others who want a quick answer for their benefit, not yours. But also avoid paralysis by analysis, endless deliberation that wastes chances. As a rule, if the cost of delay is higher than the cost of a wrong choice, act quickly. If the decision is irreversible and high stakes, take the time you need. Once you choose, commit. Half decisions cripple execution. If you constantly second guess, you drain energy and erode confidence. Commit fully, while remaining open to adjustment if new evidence emerges. This balance, decisiveness with adaptability, is the hallmark of strong decision makers. But beware the traps. The sunk cost fallacy tempts you to continue a failing path simply because you've invested so much already. Remember, past costs cannot be recovered. Only future outcomes matter. Groupthink lures teams into poor decisions by silencing dissent. Encourage debate, invite opposing voices, and even assign someone to play devil's advocate. Emotional decisions, made in anger or fear, often lead to regret. When emotions surge, pause, breathe, return when calm. The clarity gained will save you pain. Decision-making also requires moral grounding. Not all decisions are about efficiency or gain. Some are about who you are. When faced with choices that test your integrity, ask, will this align with my values? Will I respect myself tomorrow if I choose this today? Winning at everything does not mean cutting corners. It means building victories that last. Victories that do not rot from within. Practice strengthens the skill. Make decisions consciously, reflect on their outcomes, and refine your process. Keep a decision journal. Record what choice you made, why you made it, what you expected, and what happened. Over time, you will spot patterns in your thinking, biases, strengths, blind spots. You will grow sharper, faster, wiser. Examples illuminate this truth. Great leaders in history are remembered not just for vision, but for decisions. Churchill choosing defiance, Mandela choosing reconciliation, innovators choosing to risk everything on untested ideas. Their greatness did not come from perfect foresight, but from the courage to decide and the resilience to learn from consequences. And in your life, the same principle holds. Do not fear mistakes. Every decision carries lessons. Some victories teach you how to replicate success. Some failures teach you how to avoid disaster. Both move you forward if you reflect, adapt, and continue. Decision-making, at its heart, is not just about choosing paths. It is about shaping destiny. Every fork you encounter is an opportunity to assert agency, to declare who you are and what you will become. Now, imagine returning to the mountain fork. You study the options. You weigh the risks. You sense your intuition. With clarity, you step forward, not frozen in indecision, not swayed by fear, but empowered by choice. Each step brings you closer to the summit. Each decision carries you higher. Mastering decision-making grants you power, the power to act with confidence, to learn from outcomes, to steer your life rather than drift with circumstance. And once you wield this power, you are ready for the next challenge, not just making choices, but enduring their consequences. The path is never without setbacks, failures, storms. The next stage of winning demands resilience, the grit to rise after falls, and adaptability, the flexibility to thrive amid change. The fighter lies on the canvas, sweat stinging his eyes, the referee's count echoing in the air. Around him, the crowd roars, some urging him to stay down, others shouting for him to rise, bruised, battered, exhausted. Yet he pushes one hand against the floor, then the other, and slowly stands. His legs tremble, but his spirit does not. This image is resilience, the ability to rise again when the world has knocked you down. But winning requires more than resilience alone. You must also possess adaptability, the skill of bending without breaking, of shifting course when the landscape changes, of thriving, not despite change, but because of it. Resilience and adaptability are twin engines of long-term success. One gives you endurance, the other gives you flexibility. Without resilience, you quit too soon. Without adaptability, you persist stubbornly on a doomed path. Together, they allow you to survive storms and seize new horizons. Start with resilience. At its core, resilience is about grit, a stubborn refusal to surrender when others would. But grit is not mindless persistence. It is fueled by meaning. Ask yourself, what am I fighting for? Why does this matter? When your purpose is clear, setbacks become hurdles, not walls. A marathon runner doesn't endure because running is pleasant. They endure because the finish line represents triumph. Purpose is the fuel that keeps you moving when pain screams, stop. Resilience grows through practice. Set small, challenging goals and achieve them. Each success builds your confidence that you can handle difficulty. Gradually raise the bar, lift heavier, work longer, solve harder problems. With each step, you train your mind to push past discomfort. Over time, challenges that once crushed you now feel manageable. Failure, paradoxically, is one of resilience's greatest teachers. Every failure carries a lesson if you look for it. Instead of asking, "Why did this happen to me?" ask, "What can I learn from this?" Postmortems after failures, whether in business, relationships, or personal goals, turn pain into progress. Remember, failure is not the opposite of success. It is a component of success, the raw material from which resilience is forged. Adaptability, meanwhile, is the art of adjustment. The world never stands still. Markets shift, technology evolves, relationships change, circumstances transform. The rigid resist change, clinging to old methods until they break. The adaptable observe change early, adjust swiftly, and often emerge stronger. Adaptability begins with openness. Are you willing to question your assumptions? To test new methods? To abandon what no longer works? Too many fail not because they lacked effort, but because they refused to change when change was required. Cultivating adaptability requires curiosity. Stay alert to trends, signals, and shifts in your environment. Learn continuously. New skills, new perspectives, new tools. The broader your knowledge, the more options you have when circumstances shift. If one strategy fails, another stands ready. Curiosity arms you with flexibility. Scenario planning strengthens adaptability. Imagine multiple possible futures: optimistic, pessimistic, unexpected. Ask, if this happened, how would I respond? This mental rehearsal prepares you to act quickly when surprises arise. Like a sailor adjusting sails when winds shift, you pivot smoothly instead of panicking. Emotional agility is another facet of adaptability. Change often brings uncertainty, which triggers fear. If you resist fear, it controls you. If you accept it and act anyway, you transform it into momentum. Mindfulness practices help here. They anchor you in the present, reduce reactivity, and allow you to respond with clarity instead of impulse. Combine resilience and adaptability, and you become unstoppable. Imagine launching a project that fails. Resilience gives you the strength to try again. Adaptability ensures you don't repeat the same flawed approach. You pivot, innovate, and refine. Together, these qualities turn setbacks into stepping stones. Think of history's breakthroughs. Inventors like Edison endured countless failed experiments, resilience, but also changed materials, methods, and strategies until success arrived, adaptability. Entrepreneurs like Oprah Winfrey faced rejection and hardship, yet adjusted their path until they found platforms where their voices thrived. Survival itself, whether of species or civilizations, depends on resilience and adaptability. Those who endure and evolve thrive. Those who resist and cling vanish. You can cultivate these traits intentionally. For resilience, strengthen your body and mind through exercise, rest, and discipline. A resilient body fuels a resilient spirit. Build supportive relationships. Community multiplies resilience. Shared burdens weigh less. Practice reframing setbacks. Instead of "I failed," tell yourself, "I learned." For adaptability, experiment regularly. Try new methods, new tools, new perspectives. Seek diverse input. Different voices reveal blind spots and expand options. Stay flexible in goals. Commit to your vision, but remain open to alternative routes. But beware, resilience without adaptability becomes stubbornness, and adaptability without resilience becomes inconsistency. Imagine clinging to a failing relationship out of grit, ignoring every sign it's toxic. Or imagine abandoning projects too quickly at every sign of difficulty, always shifting, but never enduring. Balance is the secret. Hold firm to your purpose, but flexible in your methods. As storms of life hit, picture yourself as bamboo, deeply rooted yet flexible, bending with the wind but never breaking. That is resilience married to adaptability. With these qualities, no setback can permanently defeat you, and no change can permanently disorient you. Now, return to the boxer. The bell rings again. He adjusts his stance, guarding differently this time, aware of the opponent's patterns. His legs ache, but he stays upright, adapting his movement while refusing to surrender. He knows he may still be hit, still stumble, but he also knows he will not stay down. This is how you must live, resilient enough to endure the blows, adaptable enough to shift your strategy, unyielding enough to keep moving toward victory. Armed with resilience and adaptability, you are prepared for the next phase of winning, not merely surviving storms, but continuously growing stronger because of them. The journey forward requires an embrace of lifelong learning, constant refinement, and unending improvement, because true victory is never final, and greatness is always in progress. A craftsman stands in his workshop, tools scattered, wood shavings curled on the floor. The chair he built yesterday looks sturdy, but as he runs his hand along the armrest, he notices a flaw. He doesn't curse or quit. Instead, he refines the design. He shaves a corner here, sands a surface there, adjusts a joint until it fits more snugly. Each day, the chair evolves, not through dramatic leaps, but through patient, continuous improvement. This is the essence of mastery, the secret rhythm of success that sustains itself long after initial victories fade. Winning once is exhilarating, but it is not enough. The world remembers not only those who achieve, but those who sustain, adapt, and elevate their craft over time. To sustain victory, you must embrace the principle of continuous improvement, the mindset that you are always learning, always refining, always pushing the edge of your capability. This mindset transforms stagnation into growth, turns failure into feedback, and keeps you relevant in a world that never stops moving. Continuous improvement begins with humility. Arrogance whispers, "You've arrived, you're finished, you know enough." Humility counters, "There is always more to learn, always a higher level to reach." Think of martial artists who earn a black belt only to realize it is not the end, but the beginning of deeper mastery. Success is never final. It is a foundation for the next stage of growth. One practical framework here is Kaizen, the Japanese philosophy of small, steady improvements. Instead of chasing massive, overwhelming change, Kaizen teaches you to ask daily, what small adjustment can I make today? Improve one system, one habit, one detail, over weeks and months. These micro shifts compound into transformation. The writer who adds 100 words daily finishes a book in a year. The athlete who trains 1% harder daily becomes elite. The professional who learns one new skill each month becomes irreplaceable. Feedback is the lifeblood of continuous improvement, but feedback is often misunderstood. Many fear it, interpreting critique as attack. The wise, however, see feedback as gold, information that accelerates growth. Seek feedback from mentors, peers, even adversaries. Ask not just, "What did I do well?" but "Where can I sharpen where did I falter? The more willing you are to hear hard truths, the faster you improve. And remember, feedback is not always accurate. It reflects another's perspective. Filter it, extract the useful, discard the noise, but never ignore it entirely. Reflection is another cornerstone. Without reflection, experience becomes wasted. Journaling, reviewing progress weekly, or simply pausing to ask, what worked, what didn't, what next, transforms daily effort into cumulative wisdom. Reflection turns activity into insight, and insight into improvement. The greatest learners are not those who do the most, but those who extract the most meaning from what they do. Learning itself must become lifelong. The moment you stop learning, you begin declining. Read voraciously, listen to experts, attend seminars, explore unfamiliar fields. Cross-pollination, learning from disciplines outside your own, often sparks the greatest innovations. A musician studies mathematics, a scientist studies philosophy, an entrepreneur studies psychology. The blend of perspectives creates breakthroughs that specialization alone cannot. Adapt your mindset from fixed to growth-oriented. A fixed mindset says, I'm good at this, bad at that, end of story. A growth mindset says, I can improve at anything with effort, strategy, and feedback. With a fixed mindset, challenges intimidate. With a growth mindset, challenges inspire. The growth mindset sees failure not as proof of inadequacy, but as evidence of progress. Imagine a child learning to walk, falling repeatedly, laughing, trying again. That is growth in action, and you must never outgrow it. Systems support continuous improvement. Relying on willpower alone is fragile. Instead, create habits and routines that make improvement automatic. Use time blocking to dedicate space for learning. Use trackers to measure progress. Use accountability partners to ensure consistency. Improvement thrives, not in bursts of inspiration, but in sustained systems that make growth inevitable. But beware of perfectionism, masquerading as improvement. Continuous improvement does not mean endless tweaking that prevents progress. There is a difference between refining and stalling. Launch, act, move forward, even imperfectly. Then improve based on results. The chair must leave the workshop eventually. The book must be published, the product released, the performance delivered. Improvement happens not only in preparation, but in execution. Examples abound. Athletes who review every game tape, not just to celebrate wins, but to study mistakes. Businesses that evolve constantly, adjusting processes, innovating products, listening to customers. Artists who reinvent themselves across decades, refusing to be trapped by one style. The constant thread is never settling, never declaring, I've arrived. Continuous improvement also requires resilience against complacency. Success itself is dangerous. It tempts you to relax, to stop striving, to assume what worked yesterday will work tomorrow. But the world changes, and what once made you exceptional may one day make you obsolete. Guard against this by treating success as fuel, not a finish line. Celebrate, yes, but then ask, what's next? How can I do this better? Embrace metrics and measurement. Improvement is invisible without tracking, whether it's running times, sales figures, word counts, or hours practiced. Metrics reveal patterns you might otherwise miss. Numbers don't lie. They show if you're improving, stagnating, or declining. But use them as guides, not chains. Let them inform, not enslave. Finally, surround yourself with a culture of growth. Alone, your motivation may fade. In a circle of learners, improvement becomes contagious. Join communities where people challenge and inspire you. Share your progress, your struggles, your insights. Teach others. Teaching forces clarity and accelerates your own mastery. Picture the craftsman again. His chair, refined daily, eventually becomes a masterpiece, strong, elegant, admired. But he does not stop there. He studies new designs, tries new woods, invents new techniques. Each creation surpasses the last. This is the life of continuous improvement. Each day a chance to sharpen, refine, elevate. And so for you. Let every success become a stepping stone. Every failure a lesson. Every day an opportunity. Improvement is not an event. It is a lifestyle, a discipline, a promise to yourself that you will never stop growing. With this mindset alive in you, you are equipped not only to endure and adapt, but to ascend endlessly. The next challenge, then, is not how to improve endlessly, but how to channel your time and energy wisely. Because without mastery of those finite resources, even the will to improve can collapse under exhaustion. The clock ticks, steady and indifferent, while your to-do list multiplies like wildfire. Emails stack, notifications ping, deadlines loom, and exhaustion creeps in. You try to push harder, to stretch the day wider, but time refuses to bend. The truth settles in. You cannot manage time itself, only yourself within it. To win at everything you do, you must master the dual art of time and energy management. One without the other collapses. Time without energy is wasted opportunity. Energy without structure is chaotic fire. Together, they form the rhythm that sustains peak performance. Think of time as a canvas and energy as the paint. You can have the largest canvas in the world, but if your paint is thin and faded, the picture will lack life. Likewise, you can be brimming with color and creativity, but if your canvas is tiny and fragmented, your work will never come together. Winning means maximizing both, designing your schedule and your stamina so that every hour is intentional and every action carries impact. The first tool is prioritization. Not all tasks are equal. Some transform your life, others barely matter. Without prioritization, you drown in busyness while starving progress. The Eisenhower Matrix is your compass. Urgent and important. Important, but not urgent. Urgent, but not important. Neither urgent nor important. The world will constantly tempt you with urgent but unimportant distractions, emails, minor requests, shallow crises. But greatness lies in protecting the important, but not urgent quadrant. Planning, learning, relationship building, creative work. These quiet tasks rarely shout for attention, but they build empires over time. Guard them fiercely. Time blocking turns priorities into reality. Instead of scattering tasks randomly through the day, assign specific blocks for deep work, meetings, learning, rest. Treat these blocks as sacred appointments with your future. Imagine you value writing. Without time blocking, writing becomes when I have time, which means almost never. With a 2-hour morning block, it becomes non-negotiable, carved into the architecture of your life. Consistency compounds, small blocks, repeated daily, build mountains of output, but time management alone is fragile without energy management. Energy is your true currency. A sharp, focused hour at peak energy outperforms 3 sluggish hours at the end of the day. Begin by identifying your natural rhythms. When are you most alert? Morning, afternoon, evening. Schedule your highest value tasks in those golden hours. Protect them like treasure. Leave routine or administrative tasks for lower energy periods. This simple alignment multiplies productivity without adding hours. Sleep anchors energy. Too often, people treat sleep as negotiable, a luxury sacrificed for work. Yet sleep is not lost time. It is investment. During deep sleep, your brain consolidates memory, repairs cells, resets hormones, sacrifice sleep, and every waking hour becomes duller, slower, less effective. Prioritize 7 to 8 hours of quality rest. Guard it as fiercely as any meeting. A rested mind sees solutions that an exhausted mind cannot. Nutrition and movement fuel energy as well. What you eat becomes the raw material of your performance. Processed junk spikes and crashes, while whole foods provide steady fuel. Movement, too, is medicine. Even short walks sharpen focus, release stress, and oxygenate the brain. Think of your body as the engine of achievement. Feed it, maintain it, and it will carry you further. Neglect it, and no amount of willpower will compensate. Breaks are not weakness, they are strategy. The Pomodoro technique, working in focused sprints of 25 minutes, followed by 5-minute breaks, harnesses this truth. Our brains are not designed for endless, uninterrupted focus. Strategic breaks reset attention, prevent burnout, and sustain energy across long stretches. High performers understand this. They alternate intensity with recovery, like athletes pacing through a marathon. Boundaries protect both time and energy. Learn to say no. Every yes is also a no. To your priorities, to your health, to your family. No is not rejection. It is stewardship. Guard your calendar from commitments that dilute focus. Guard your attention from distractions that steal energy. Turn off notifications. Set limits on social media. Create spaces free from interruption. Boundaries are not walls. They are channels that direct your life force where it matters most. Technology can either enslave or empower. Use tools intentionally. Calendars, task managers, reminders, automation. Let technology handle the mechanical, so your mind can focus on the meaningful. But beware, without discipline, tools turn into traps. Endless tinkering with apps that masquerade as productivity while achieving nothing. Simplicity wins. Choose a few systems, master them, and use them consistently. Balance urgency with rest. It is tempting to sprint endlessly, to burn through nights chasing goals. But winning is not a single race. It is a lifelong marathon. Overexertion today robs capacity tomorrow. Schedule recovery as deliberately as work. Moments with family, quiet reflection, hobbies that restore joy. Rest is not wasted time. It is the soil from which tomorrow's performance grows. Reflection ties time and energy management together. Each week, review your schedule. Where did your time truly go? Which tasks energized you? Which drained you? Adjust accordingly. Improvement is not a one-time fix, but an ongoing refinement. Over time, your schedule becomes not a cage, but a masterpiece, shaped intentionally to support your vision. And remember, mastery of time and energy is not about squeezing more work into every day. It is about aligning hours and strength with what matters most. It is about creating space, not just for achievement, but for life, connection, meaning. Picture again the clock, ticking steadily. This time, you are not panicked. Each tick matches the rhythm of your work, the cadence of your rest. Your energy rises when you need it, recovers when you don't. Instead of time dragging you, you direct it. Instead of energy scattering, you focus it. This is mastery, the art of living intentionally in a finite world. With time and energy aligned, you now stand ready to extend your reach beyond yourself. The next step in winning is connection. Building networks not of shallow contacts, but of authentic, strategic relationships that expand opportunities and magnify impact. The hall is alive with conversation. Laughter rises from one corner, a quiet negotiation hums in another, and across the room hands clasp in firm handshakes. At first glance, it looks like a casual gathering, but beneath the surface, something profound is happening. Bridges are being built, doors are being opened, futures are being shaped. This is the power of networking. To win at everything you do, you cannot rely on effort alone. You must learn to weave yourself into the fabric of relationships that multiply your influence, extend your reach, and unlock opportunities invisible to the solitary. Networking is often misunderstood. Many imagine it as superficial schmoozing, handing out business cards, or chasing contacts for personal gain. But true networking is not transactional. It is transformational. It is not about collecting names, but cultivating trust. Not about using people, but uplifting them. At its core, networking is the art of authentic connection, built on reciprocity, respect, and shared value. The first principle is authenticity. People can sense insincerity quickly. If you approach networking as manipulation, your efforts will fail. Approach instead with genuine curiosity. Who is this person? What matters to them? How can I contribute to their journey? Ironically, the more you focus on giving rather than taking, the more you gain in return. Trust grows when people feel seen, valued, and respected. Begin by clarifying your own story. Networking thrives on clarity. If you cannot articulate who you are, what you do, and what you stand for, others cannot connect meaningfully with you. Craft a concise, compelling narrative that highlights your vision, your strengths, and your goals. Not a rehearsed sales pitch, but a genuine expression of identity. The clearer your story, the easier it is for others to see where collaboration may spark. Next, cultivate listening as your superpower. In a world full of noise, the person who listens deeply stands out. Ask thoughtful questions. Pay attention not only to words, but to tone, emotion, and body language. Reflect back what you hear. People rarely remember everything you say, but they always remember how you made them feel. A good listener makes others feel valued, and value is the foundation of connection. Networking also demands consistency. Relationships fade without nourishment. It's not enough to meet someone once and hope they remember you years later. Follow up with sincerity. Send a thank you message. Share a resource relevant to their interests. Check in periodically. Consistency transforms acquaintances into allies. A single meeting may open the door, but regular touch builds the bridge. Reciprocity strengthens every bond. Give before you ask. Offer introductions, resources, encouragement. Shine a spotlight on others' achievements. When you contribute generously, you create goodwill that returns to you many times over. This doesn't mean keeping score. It means cultivating a spirit of contribution. Over time, your network becomes a circle of mutual support, where victories are shared and challenges faced together. Strategic networking blends breadth and depth. Breadth exposes you to diverse perspectives, industries, and opportunities. Depth creates strong, trusted relationships that endure. Both matter. A broad network gives you access. A deep network gives you influence. Balance the two by continuously meeting new people while nurturing your core circle. Technology has expanded the landscape of networking. Platforms like LinkedIn, online communities, and social networks allow connections across the globe. But the same principles apply: authenticity, listening, reciprocity. Don't treat digital connections as disposable. Engage with sincerity, contribute thoughtfully, and bring value just as you would in person. A genuine online presence can open doors as effectively as a handshake. Still, in-person interactions carry unique power. A smile, a handshake, a shared meal. These create bonds technology cannot fully replicate. Attend events, seminars, community gatherings. Step into rooms where opportunities gather. Even if you feel shy or awkward, remember, most others do too. Courage is simply showing up, starting a conversation, and letting curiosity guide you. Networking also thrives on diversity. Don't limit yourself to people exactly like you. Connect across industries, cultures, generations. Diversity expands your worldview, sparks creativity, and reveals opportunities you never imagined. Some of the most transformative breakthroughs happen when ideas from different worlds collide. Seek out voices unlike your own and embrace the richness they bring. But beware of networking purely for gain. Opportunism smells, and it pushes people away. Build relationships because they matter, because people matter. When opportunities emerge from those relationships, they are stronger, more sustainable, and more rewarding. Shallow connections may deliver short-term wins, but authentic networks build lifelong success. Consider the power of a single introduction. One person connects you to another, who opens a door to a project, which leads to a partnership, which transforms your career. Networking is exponential. One authentic connection can ripple outward, creating opportunities you could never reach alone. And remember, networking is not reserved for extroverts. Introverts often excel because they listen deeply, form meaningful bonds, and value quality over quantity. The key is not personality, but intention. Whether quiet or bold, your authenticity is your greatest asset. Cultivate gratitude as well. Express appreciation for time, advice, or opportunities others share with you. Gratitude leaves an imprint. A simple, heartfelt thank you can transform a fleeting meeting into the start of a lasting relationship. Picture again the hall alive with conversation. You move with purpose, not seeking to impress everyone, but to connect deeply with a few. You listen, you share, you offer value. Weeks later, you follow up, and the relationship grows. Over months and years, your network becomes more than contacts. It becomes a living ecosystem of trust, opportunity, and shared success. This is the power of strategic networking. It is not manipulation, but multiplication. It transforms solitude into support, limitation into leverage, isolation into influence. With a strong network, you are never truly alone in pursuit of your goals. And once your network is alive, another art awaits, the art of negotiation. Because relationships open doors, but negotiation determines what you walk away with. It is the skill that transforms opportunity into concrete victory. The table is set, papers spread across its surface, voices rise and fall, eyes narrow in calculation. Two sides sit across from one another, each with desires, each with limits, each with something to gain and something to protect. At the center of this quiet storm is negotiation, not just the exchange of offers, but the art of shaping outcomes, aligning interests, and walking away with more than you began. To win at everything you do, you must master negotiation, not only in boardrooms, but in daily life. where every conversation, every compromise, every agreement is a form of negotiation. Negotiation is not about domination. Too often, people mistake winning a negotiation for crushing the other side, forcing them into submission. That kind of victory is short-lived. True negotiation is about creating agreements that endure, about leaving the table not only with what you want, but with a relationship intact. The best negotiators understand. The goal is not conquest. It is alignment. The first step is preparation. Walking into a negotiation unprepared is like walking into battle without armor. Preparation means knowing your facts, your options, your limits. What exactly do you want? What is your ideal outcome? What is your minimum acceptable outcome? What concessions are you willing to make? And what are deal breakers? Clarity is power. Without it, you risk being swayed by pressure, charm, or fear. Central to preparation is your bhatna, best alternative to a negotiated agreement. Your bhatna is your fallback plan if the negotiation fails. Perhaps it's another job offer, another supplier, another opportunity. The stronger your bhatna, the more power you have at the table. If you know you can walk away and still succeed, you negotiate with confidence. Without a bhatna, you negotiate from desperation, and desperation is visible. Equally important is understanding the other side's interests. Too often, negotiators focus only on positions, the surface demands. I want a higher salary. I want a lower price. I want more time. But beneath every position lies an interest, the deeper reason driving the demand. A request for higher salary may reflect a need for recognition, security, or fairness. A push for lower price may reflect budget constraints or pressure from above. When you uncover interests, you unlock creative solutions. You may not meet their position, but you can often meet their interest in another way. Active listening is your greatest tool here. Let the other side talk. Ask open-ended questions. What's most important to you in this deal? What concerns you about this timeline? How would success look for you? As they answer, listen not only to words but to tone and emphasis. People reveal priorities in what they stress, repeat, or hesitate over. The more you understand their true needs, the more options you have to craft win-win solutions. Leverage techniques like anchoring to shape the negotiation. Anchoring means setting the initial reference point. Studies show that the first number placed on the table often influences the entire negotiation. If you're selling, starting with a strong but reasonable anchor pulls the final agreement upward. If you're buying, an early anchor can tilt expectations downward. Anchors frame the playing field, and skilled negotiators know when to set them and when to deflect them. Tone matters as much as tactics. Enter negotiations with calm confidence, not aggression. Aggression triggers defensiveness and resistance. Confidence, paired with respect, invites collaboration. Control your body language. Steady eye contact, open posture, composed gestures. Speak with clarity and pause deliberately. Silence is powerful. Don't rush to fill it. Sometimes, the quiet after a statement pressures the other side more than any words. Flexibility is key. Rarely will you get everything you want. The best negotiators prepare a hierarchy of priorities: must-haves, nice-to-haves, and expendables. This allows you to trade wisely. You may give up something minor to secure something major. You may concede on price, but gain favorable terms. Negotiation is not about winning every point. It is about winning what matters most. But beware of common traps. One is the winner's curse: accepting a deal too quickly. leaving value on the table. Another is letting ego drive decisions, refusing to compromise because you want to win. Ego blinds you to better outcomes. Emotional reactions, anger, frustration, impatience, also sabotage negotiations. When emotions flare, step back, breathe, recenter. Negotiation is not about who shouts louder. It's about who thinks clearer. Practice patience. Negotiations often stretch longer than expected. Don't rush to close simply because silence feels uncomfortable. Time is a tool. Sometimes waiting allows pressure to build on the other side, leading them to make concessions. At other times, a pause allows creative solutions to surface. Treat time as leverage, not as an enemy. Remember also that every negotiation shapes reputation. People talk. If you exploit, deceive, or manipulate, word spreads, and future negotiations become harder. If you negotiate with fairness, respect, and creativity, doors open wider. Winning at everything means thinking long-term, protecting not just this deal, but the next dozen. Examples abound. A skilled manager negotiating with employees doesn't just demand performance. They listen to needs, offer flexibility, and build loyalty. An entrepreneur negotiating with investors doesn't just seek funding. They seek alignment on vision and values. A parent negotiating with a child doesn't just enforce rules. They uncover concerns and craft agreements that teach responsibility. Negotiation is everywhere, at work, at home, in the marketplace, in friendships. The essence of mastery is this: focus less on taking and more on creating. When both sides leave the table satisfied, when trust deepens instead of erodes, you haven't just won the negotiation, you've built momentum for future victories. Picture the table once more. Voices lower, smiles emerge, hands extend. The agreement is signed, but the relationship remains alive, strong, respectful. You leave not just with terms secured, but with a partner for future endeavors. That is true negotiation. Victory without resentment, success without scars. With negotiation mastered, you hold one of the most powerful tools for advancement. Yet even victory after victory cannot sustain you if your inner life crumbles. Winning outwardly must not come at the cost of losing inwardly. The next step is balance, learning to harmonize ambition with well-being, achievement with fulfillment, drive with peace. The world is full of people searching for shortcuts, hunting for the elusive secret that will guarantee victory in every arena. But by now, you know the truth. There is no hidden trick, no single formula waiting to be unlocked. Winning is not about luck or chance, nor about a rare quality granted only to a chosen few. It is about principles lived consistently, mindsets sharpened daily, and decisions made with courage and clarity. Think back through the journey you have just taken. You have built the foundation of a winning mindset, resilient, adaptable, optimistic. You have learned to craft a clear vision that acts as your North Star, to transform that vision into precise goals, and to anchor those goals in strategic plans. You have trained yourself to execute with discipline, to make sound decisions under pressure, and to rise after every fall with grit. You have embraced lifelong learning, balanced your energy, nurtured your relationships, and negotiated your way toward fair outcomes. You have seen that victory is not about a single isolated triumph, but about weaving together countless small wins into a tapestry of sustained success. And most of all, you have discovered that real winning is not measured only by personal gain. It is measured by the legacy you create, the lives you touch, the example you set. Success that lasts is success that extends beyond you, into your family, your community, your craft, your world. So what now? Now you act. You carry these lessons into your daily choices, shaping your hours with purpose, your relationships with care, and your ambitions with courage. You do not wait for the perfect moment. You create it. You do not shrink from challenges. You grow through them. You do not settle for fleeting applause. You aim for enduring impact. The ultimate guide to mastering success is not a book you close and forget. It is a life you live. One decision, one step, one breath at a time. You have within you everything needed to win, again and again, not because the world owes it to you, but because you have chosen to meet life with vision, with discipline, with resilience, and with heart. Go forth and make it real. The world is waiting for your contribution, your light, your victories. And as you rise, remember this: winning is not the end of the journey. It is the journey itself.